welcome, everybody. Welcome to BeoTalk 315.
Right on September 15th.
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice.
It's weird.
If you want to buy some stuff from Skinny Play, use the promo code to get 10% off. Buy yourself a nice cover for your A9. Send the video to Willie of getting it on to make him look inadequate.
That's right. Do it under 7 seconds to beat the Skinny Play record.
There's a shit ton of stuff at Skinny Play, but you can always customize and make something your own. Otherwise, come join the Discord if you haven't yet already. And
there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, that's about it. Things like what kind of puck cable do I need and things like that. It's always handy to know.
Yeah. And another one that, I guess there's a whole bunch. Yeah, there's a whole bunch.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So I joined the beta.
That's about it for the shilling.
I rejoined the beta, bro.
The only thing I would say is I'm not sure how much nowadays you can talk about that with the NDA that comes up at the beginning.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not done to talk about anything. I just finally was able to join it. Because my login apparently was my retail ROS login.
Yeah.
Which is, it looks like an email address, but it's no email address. So I couldn't get the freaking confirmation through.
Oh.
And I was finally able to correct it with my BeoWilly account or email address. So I put everything, like, because you go through the survey and you tell them what products you have and blah, blah, blah. And this morning I woke up and through the PHC tool, I looked to see if anything happened because I was at my girlfriend's place. I stayed over. And wouldn't you know, the beta software was available for download. So by the time I got home, I got it set up, and now I'm playing. Now I'm waiting for my remote to update. So I guess we're gonna be looking at the remote update as well in the next software updates. What headphones do we have on our heads? Well, it's the portals. Back to square ones, I guess.
I mean, I have H100s, but my workstation PC is from what, 2017, 18, something like that.
Archaic, bro.
Well, the thing is, the Bluetooth on it is really shit.
Yeah.
And so if I want to use these, I can, but I need to buy like an actual newer Bluetooth receiver, and I kind of flaked on that because I have other stuff to do.
Yeah, and what's the point anyways, really? You're not using the microphone out of those headphones, so...
Yeah, and also it's like...
I don't think Skype does spatial audio.
No.
So we'll be fine.
I also don't need to hear this show in the highest resolution possible, where like you'll hear all the sibilance. But I have been using these more during the week, and
what's your opinion?
They're just really fucking good. Like, I still think they're really expensive,
but I guess the price over time doesn't feel as bad because they are gonna go up, I'm sure, in a while.
Yeah, but the thing is, most likely with like Amazon and whatnot, the H95s are gonna go down, making that gap even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Because the H95s are in no way a bad headphone, right? But when it's the original H95 price, which is what, €900 or something, $900, something like that. Then
I wonder how long it's gonna take them to compress it down to like a earbud level, that technology, because that'd be sick.
I don't know. Not that long, I wouldn't think.
I don't think so either, but that'd be sweet if they did that. Because I'm a bigger fan of in-ear earbuds than I am a fan of the cans. That's what I like. If that came out in the buds, I'd probably consider buying them, even though they would be stupid expensive, I'm sure. I think they would be double, maybe triple the price of the HXs.
Yeah, so H95s are $1,000 on B&O's website. And the H100s are 1,500, which makes that comparison gap fairer, right? I'm not saying the H100s are cheap by any means, though in the headphone realm, seemingly they aren't that expensive either.
No,
There's,
because you can go stupid with headphones too,
I mean,
as far as the
there's
cost.
sort of in the middle high range, I guess, of
I
pricing.
I think Sennheiser has a set of headphones for like 70 grand Canadian,
Oh yeah,
but they come with their own preamp and all that. But that's a different. I don't think that's not cup of tea for BNO in my opinion, because that's not portable. It's gonna be like the cell phone from the 80s with the big 12-volt battery on the side.
yeah.
That's what
Those are
antenna.
not like I'm going somewhere headphones.
No, 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 no. That's I'm sure you have a separate chair for that with the preamp sitting on a nice, table and everything's grounded and that's it. And then you just sit there and listen.
Sandeep says H100s though are at the top end of wireless ANC cans. Yeah, but I'm still not exactly convinced that that is the main purpose of them. Because the difference when you wire them to a 24-bit source is like, holy.
Yeah. But the ANC makes a big difference in my opinion. At least like for me.
Well, it's
And
nice
it's
ANC.
yeah. Like with the balcony door open and the way that the window opens this way, right? All the sound from the alley basically shoots into my apartment and bounces off the ceiling and it's loud. But or even like when I watch YouTube, I put the HXs on with the noise canceling just to listen to it without you know the noise when you have the hood fan on. So yeah, no, ANC for me it's quite important. It's not the hill to die on, but it's quite important. Sound quality also, right? This remote is
Let's see
doesn't want
what
to
Sennheisers
connect.
go for. Uh, let's see. Sennheiser store. Over here. Why can't I sort for price? I mean, Sennheiser has a lot more, obviously.
Well, but they don't make speakers really, right? That's all they do is headphones and microphones.
Yeah.
So you would assume that they have more than 3 pair of headphones. But they go into insane levels though.
Yeah, what is it? The HD 800S was like $1,200 like 4 years, 5 years ago. So I think they have the HD 820Ss, which is probably more.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so out of that headphone game now.
They're $1,800.
Okay. So
But
they're
they're
cheap.
open back, wired only. So it's
Fudge. So they depend on what source you have, because that's what you will actually listen to is
yeah,
the equipment that comes with it.
which
Or you
is like
buy the
neither
thing.
a good or a bad thing. It's just a different
That's right.
thing. Sennheiser HE1. Let's see. It doesn't even come up.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Gisolo. If you like the B&O signature, there's no other options for sure. And they have a nice sound. Honestly, they have a nice sound. The only bad headphones that I could remember from B&O were Form 2s. Those were terrible. And Form 2Is.
Yeah, the one, all of any brand headphone I hate is the on-ear. I can't stand that.
Which one? The A8s?
That too,
Old A8s?
the Form 2s are kind of on-ear.
Yeah, Form 2s are terrible.
Like
Fortunately,
anything on ear, like I just can't handle that where like something is just pressing your ears into your skull.
yeah, that doesn't get comfortable after a while for sure.
Yeah.
E8s were like that as well. and they were weird for noise canceling because they had a microphone inside the speaker, like in the center, right? When you pushed your headphone closer to your head, it started like whizzing and shit. It was weird. But yeah, those I never liked them, especially noise canceling was great, but that pressure constantly on your cartilage, you can't do an 8-hour flight with those headphones, man. You're gonna walk out like a freaking
with
like
a headache.
with a headache and ears like I don't know even what the fuck you compress it to like that. It's just no, it's not comfortable at all. And I've done that. I only done a Chicago flight with them, and that was already too much. But they
Yeah,
sounded good, and at the time they were the top of the line, right? That was as the progress is going, H95s were all the jazz 5 years ago. Now they're supplemented again.
I mean, another thing, like I said in my review, they are a bit heavy. They're not too heavy where it's like annoying, in my opinion. But compared to like your portals and stuff, they are very heavy.
Well, yeah, and I think it's more or less the material choices too, right? Because they're fully metal, like it's all aluminium more or less, and the glass, right? Where these are all plastic per se. So yeah, there's a lot of that will stay for a long time together in there.
Stretchy band in there. No, I'll take a picture later. But like replacing the headband is fucking genius to me.
I think that's the greatest idea that they had come up with on those headphones. Because what do you innovate on the headphone? That is a great thing to innovate with.
Well, it's also something that always gets dirty or breaks.
Well, that's what makes your headphones look old.
Like I have that bit here with the portals, right?
Yeah.
Where you get that slight bit of fabric separation. I'm not sure if it's like doing this all the time or like how I take them off. Like my other portals don't have it.
Maybe it was just a weakness in the fabric or a missed stitch in the machine when they were doing the band. Something.
Yeah,
they are removable though. It's a pain in the ass. Like I watched a video on how to remove it. But you can replace the bands. You can still order them from the dealer. And yeah, have them replace it. Don't do it yourself because you're gonna F up the leather. I posted on Discord. I got what some people thought it were B&O's brake pads, but that is the oiling kit for the Beolab 18 Lamella.
it does look like a brake pad.
It does look like a freaking brake pad for sure. But yeah, so this is what I'm gonna be lubing my speakers with. And yeah, for all y'all that want to order it, 337-65-99 is the part number. And especially for walnut people, I would recommend if you're a walnut grill owner, then yeah, this is it. I'm gonna give him a good run. I might make a video of it just to show people and post it on Discord, so people just don't dip them in a vat and then expect something, because they're still, they're for how well assembled those lamellae are for on the 18s. I do not understand the cost justification for the Beolab 8s, because those are ultrasonically welded, right?
Yeah.
Onto that grill, where these are screwed on. So somebody still has to do that for the 18s.
Got my driver replaced on the Beolab 50. Sounds amazing now. Wonder what went wrong with it.
Shit, I saw a Beolab 19 guy came in with a defective driver, and I think we did the install maybe 6 months ago.
What?
Yeah, it had a defective rear driver. Like something was just, you could hear that with the bass. I took it out. But on a jig, right? I took it out, turned it on, and it was the same. But that was weird. First Beolab 19 I've ever seen go weird.
Was like the rubber broken or Do you
It
think
was
it's more in
something
the
inside the basket and the spider, like like inside the coil. Like I couldn't see. I don't have that, like the strobe light or whatever that you can see what's touching. But my suspicion was that somewhere in there, the cables were like the feed wires were hitting shit.
Hmm.
So replaced it right away, and that's it. Which is interesting to see, or was interesting to look inside the Beolab 19 cabinet yet again. They're glued fucking good, man. Holy cow. Like they didn't spare it. Like it's like a tube of glue per chassis.
David says, I think B&O should have some like premium wood finish back, closed back headphones. God, that's going to make it even heavier. Like, I don't disagree with you in a design sort of sense, but
that's like get Grado, bro. I think that I just don't. I understand the wood, but I wouldn't put it on everything. I don't think the headphones really have the place, and if anything, it would be more or less. It would be out of place, in my opinion. Like with the grain and shit. Which way do you do the grain, up or down? Which way you slide, right? I don't know. I'm not a wood fan on the headphones, and the
it's
people with the wooden watches and stuff. Like, what is that?
it's just going to scoff at some point, and you're going to
Yeah,
get a scratch, and then you're really going to be annoyed.
and how well would it be glued on it, right? Because that's something that if you carry outside, you're susceptible to moisture. Sometimes you may get hit by rain. I don't think that's a good idea for wood to be on the headphones. Balsa wood.
Like, I wear these around the house, but I'm not wearing these like around the pool. Like, this is already too expensive where I like have a proper bad day if they come off or whatever.
Mm.
Let alone if they were wood, right? And like around here in Florida where it's that hot and
And
that
humid as hell,
humid,
bro.
and like all of a sudden you hear like creaking and popping. It's like, oh, it's my wood expanding.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so what's the difference?
I mean, I'd be very sad if something happens to these. So this is also why, like, if I go to a store, I'd rather have in-ears or something cheaper.
Yeah.
Have they improved the loudness level on the H100? Yes, but I can't answer if it's loud enough for you because that's really quite personal. I think they go too loud, but other people apparently can have them on their head, according to what I see online, and they set it to 100% volume and listen all day long.
I can no longer do that. I
I
used to be able to when I was younger, I guess, but not anymore. It's too loud.
mean, it's just either your source is really quiet or you're going to induce hearing damage because like 75% is already on a pain threshold for me.
Yeah, but I also think is that the recordings, if you listen to older unremastered recordings, like the original Dark Side of the Moon versus the new remastered version, there's up to 12 dBs difference in the loudness that it's been recorded. So
Hmm. Into Preppy says, watch Top Gun in Dolby Atmos on theater with the H100. Although the H100s were connected to BO, it took a very long time before I could hear sound. Anyone else with the same problem? No. Though I haven't tried it yet with the H100s, I don't see why it would take a long time.
I have a set of EXs connected to the TV, and I don't know if it's the earphones or earbuds or the Bluetooth in the TV, but it's not strong enough. And I would suspect it's the TV because the whole bloody thing is metal back. So
Yeah.
the only plausible place for that antenna would be underneath where that sensor is, right? That's the only place that it can be essentially hidden to blast out of. But if I walk up to the door, it starts to drop off. But I've never had issues with it. I do have issue now since the new software update came out on the LG panel that the headphones connect, but no sound comes through at all. So I don't know what TV brand you have, but I have a G2 panel, and the latest software kind of effed up the Bluetooth on it. And I don't know if it's just the headphones, because I haven't tried and played with the portals to pair them in, but I might just do that just for the shits and giggles to see. But I have that experience with my TV that that the Bluetooth was no good on, or is no good, or not as good as it was since the last software update on the TV, because there is no software update for the HXs.
You could always try and get a what you call it, a cable, like I'm certain somebody can make a PL cable to a USB-C cable, or power link to what is it, to 3.5 mil, and then attach it wired for H100s. That should also get you the full fat audio.
Well, you can get it with B&O parts. Just get the RJ45 to a RCA connect adapter cable, and then get a barrel connectors for RCA. Plug them in. Plug in another RCA to 3.5 mil and plug them into your jack. It's not the prettiest, but at least it's worth a try and experiment to see if the output of the power link is loud enough for you in that way.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that the limitation for loudness would be built into the amplification in the headphones themselves, and how much they will let you blow your head off, because they're not passive. You can't listen to them without them being powered on. So I honestly think that whatever you're feeding into it, it still passes through the amplification and filtering in the headphone before you get to hear the analog sound that you think is analog.
Yeah, that's for a lot of people apparently another major downside. I sort of understand it, because it is kind of odd that for years, right, you could use them passively.
Yeah, it's weird to have headphones that need batteries.
Yeah,
Like
as
they
in
need power.
need to even.
Yeah, like
to,
must.
Yeah.
Must run on battery. Call this.
I mean, I get it from a technical point, but all the old ones didn't. So, but then again, like with a essentially what is line out on PowerLink, that's going to be not very loud anyway.
No,
because it's not amplified as such. So, yeah, I don't know. It's
PowerLink is line level signal basically.
On the other hand, it's the batteries on, well, even the portals, but especially on these, last so bloody long.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. I charged them the other day, and I think when I looked at the battery, it's close to 40 hours.
Shit.
I mean, I don't know how it calculates that. That maybe because I don't listen to like very high volumes, or like, you know how your car says like you have X amount of miles left, right? Like, and if all of a sudden you start driving like a grandmother, all of a sudden the miles go back up again.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, that happens to me in Montreal all the time. As soon as you get on the highway, like it seems like I'm getting more gas into the tank as I'm driving. It's been weird, man. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
I mean, the first
sort of makes no sense.
Yeah, the first major update, you got a bunch of extra hours in battery life. So, and it already wasn't bad on the like very, very base software. So,
I wonder what they've changed in order to like, how do you improve it? Like, what do you change? Some paths of how that thing works, or
efficiency in code, probably.
Probably. Yeah, that's way beyond my pay grade.
I mean, it's probably the same outcome with less lines. So, like the chips and stuff just have to do less math, right?
Yeah.
I mean, less math, less heat, less power. I don't know. Maybe to get to certain levels, the power output was set to something that wasn't needed. I don't know. There's 100 different things you could do.
Mm-hmm. Frank's so since the H1 doesn't have an IDAC,
LDAC.
don't have an IDAC. Oh, LDAC. You can play music in Tidal and Cubase. It's still going to play in high res.
Yes.
If you do a USB-C connection to it, yes, it will. It actually in the B&O app, it will show you that it's playing through USB-C, and then depends on what you're listening to. You can tap on the quality. I think I don't know if it's in the actual B&O's app when you're playing the music that you can see the bit rate, but I know in the Titles app itself, it shows you if it says high res, you can just tap it and it'll expand to tell you the bit rate. Is Tidal still around? Yeah, it's actually the go-to thing now for B&O, quite honestly. So it's a little bit. I think it's $2 or $3 more than Deezer. But I looked at Deezer now. I'm paying 13 fucking bucks anyways for it because they went up. So
I don't know. I paid for a year.
Yeah, but I'm canceling it. I'm moving I'm moving to Tidal for now after 12 years on Deezer, basically. Since the Avant came out, I was on Deezer.
By the way, Tidal Atmos on the H100s works through the B&O app.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get Apple Music Atmos 2 through their app. I'm pretty sure it'll say somewhere in when you install them with the app.
I don't know if it's a placebo for me or if it's an actual fact, but when I listen to the Tidal through the app, it sounds not as good when I listen to the Tidal through the B&O app.
I don't know. I still don't have Tidal. I can't be arsed as like this is like I'm not making any money on this, and like people ask me, hey, can you compare XYZ to XYZ? And whilst not opposed, right? Like if I'm gonna have to drive an hour or spend $1,000 to compare this to some other headphones, and just have to go like, ooh, I hope they take them back, right? If
yeah,
it's like, I'm sorry, like I just don't have the will and or money to just buy everything in the world to compare it to. I mean, somebody was asking earlier about how did it compare to the Mark Levinsons. I don't know. I haven't been able to find any in any shop near me. Which would also be like a quick shop listen, but
yeah.
But they're also like $1,500 or something. So like, am I just gonna chance it? I'm not even a headphone person to begin with.
Same here. Like I could be bothered less. And even like with our shop, right? Like we have access to like tons of different speakers and whatever and whatnot, but I just don't really care. Like I've heard them, like cool. I'd still get the 50s over these.
Yeah.
End of story. It's my way of thinking now. Like I've been with B&O for a long time. I'm pulling almost on 29 years. So as a fan and you know, then it just expanded to where I'm at right now. But I just don't see myself owning any other electronics anymore. Now, therefore, I really don't care for looking at all that stuff and comparing it to something that it'll never matter to me in any way. The only thing that would ever matter to me is more or less like looking into the newer LG panels and see what if the upgrade of that is actually something that would be worth doing. What made me a B&O fan? That's a very good question.
For me, it was my parents and living with it.
For me, it was a friend of mine that got the system with the Pentas. It was a Beo system or Beomaster, or I guess it was a Beo system, whatever it's called. It was a 5500 in white color. They got it back in the 90s. And I shit on myself when I saw it and listened to it. And I said, one day I'm going to own one of those. And then kind of went by the wayside. And when we moved to Canada, I found a store that carried B&O, but it was way out of my price range at the time. But I always wanted to get BeoSound 1 was my thing that I wanted to get, a CD player. And during school, I have to admit, I had fucking Bose. I had the Acoustimass 5s. which sounded good or okay to me, but there was always a problem with the bass, right? With the bass module, and like there was really no, like if you listen to Depeche Mode Ultra, uh, the second track, Love Thieves, the way that the bass, and also the first track where the barrel of the gun, where the bass comes from the left to the right, like that was never there as a sensation because it just doesn't exist with the Bosies. And then I went and in 2002 they opened a B&O shop boutique. I was the first client to walk through the door, and then I had to walk back out because they had to legally open the door and let somebody in and then close it because they weren't finished. so,
Yeah.
so after 2 weeks, they actually officially opened it, and that's where I first heard a set of Beolab ones, and I just fell in love. I was already working in the architectural firm, and just the design of this shit was insane for even back then. So no, I don't have them. I actually, you know what, those Bose cubes I used, I actually cut them. I cut them in half, and I showed people how cheaply these are made when I was working at the B&O shop. After I bought a whole bunch of speakers and such from B&O, and yeah, and then it was just off the cliff. Then from there on, I bought a TV without my wife knowing. That was good, but in retrospect, I still would say that that begging for permission is much more difficult than begging for forgiveness, because it's already there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was a funny day after she came back from a thing, and BeoVision 9 stood in the in the living room, and the TV's 250 pounds, so I'm not moving it, sweetheart. Sorry, that just stays. Yeah, and that's basically how the B&O passion started. And yeah, now we're here 6 years later talking about it publicly every Sunday as a hobby, and more or less as a good friend call, I guess, on Skype. It's like a routine that I don't know what I would do without, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah. Ed says, once connected Tidal connect through BeoConnect Core in the B&O app, is the Tidal connect through our multi-room even though other rooms may have BeoSound cores, the old ones? Yeah, that should work. I think so. I'm pretty sure.
It's on the ASC platform. We don't have any more of those. That's and I was telling guys, I'm like, you know what? Don't sell the last BeoSound core. Like, I understand that, but if you sell that, we have no reference point for when clients call in with these kinds of questions, because how the fuck do you test it now, right? Like, the only way I could really test it is I'll have to go to my girlfriend's and take the M3 back for a bit, and or y'all's gonna have to wait till I move at the end of the month, and I'm gonna dig up my BeoSound 1 piano black, and I'll have that running and see if the Tidal works, because I know that on the stages it tells you straight up like it's the Tidal is not supported.
Yes, but I think it's just data that you can share, just like how you
I don't know. Yeah,
AirPlay.
I think linking it, you should be able to.
Yeah, because you're just extrapolating the data, right? But you may not be able to Tidal connect to your BeoSound core, but
no, you won't be able to. That's for sure.
But you can connect it to the BeoConnect core, and then just share it out, or you should be able to.
I would say yes, but I would have to honestly test it, and that's not going to happen, like I said, for a few days. I might be able to actually test it tomorrow, because we do have a BeoSound core in the shop that I've hidden in my in the service shop on the bench. So I want to try it out and see if the Tidal is actually expandable. But I don't see why it wouldn't be, because you can join Bluetooth stream from another room. As well. So I don't think that would make a...
The only limitation I could personally see is on Tidal's end, like what Spotify did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Spotify essentially said, like, we don't allow... Like, you need a subscription for every device that you want to stream to, because multi-room, no.
Yeah.
But I don't think Tidal has that. At least not for B&O, since they're now built into the app. I would be
Yeah, I don't
very
think so.
surprised by that.
No, I don't think there is a limitation. For me, it was just more or less like I was thinking along the lines of like logging into it and utilizing it as a Mozart per se, but that's
Yeah.
not going to happen with a Tidal. So
Yeah, similarly how like the moment still is able to share to everything, uh, but not the other way around.
mhm.
Like I somehow can't join the moment to the theater, but I can join the theater to the moment.
I do have to say, man, that the new update, because I'm on, what am I on?
Oh, Serge just confirmed it. Use Tidal on BeoConnect Core and it can multi-room to SE speakers. Did it earlier today.
Okay, perfect. So it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 6.2 version of the app, man, it works very good for me.
Yeah, it's
Very
better.
snappy. It's very snappy. I think that, well, in the shop it's a little bit slouchy, but I could totally understand just because there is, I
Such a
think,
shit ton of products it
fucking
has to retrieve.
26 products, if not more, that it has to do. Hey, Stefan. But in my house, dude, like it is poof poof very quick. The only problem that I have with it that I had come across, that if I'm in the headphones here, let me just share this because it's easier than glisten my screen for no reason here. Let's go start screen share. Poof, start sharing. So BNO dongle. There we go. So that being said, like I like how this pops up automatically now from all of your offline Bluetooth devices, right? It just hops on like I'm good. But the problem that I have once I disconnect from these, right? The theater appears offline. Shower, no problem. Emerge is okay. I could join it. It's fine. I can go into it. Blah blah blah. It's good. But if I go to come on, there you go. Looks like this app was closed. Did it just crash? No. But if I go to theater, like it struggles to load all of that. I don't want to disconnect because I'll F up my call. But I wonder if I can do this. No, that just turns on the Bluetooth. So it's very interesting because I have the Bluetooth turned off,
Same.
but it still shows I can control all of this on a, and it works.
Yeah, that's
So
what I've
there's
always found as well.
so the Bluetooth is still connected to these, but it does not have the I guess it doesn't stream into it.
Maybe your phone is connected to the dongle.
No, oops. I keep pressing back up here.
As in, like, the app makes a connection with the dongle somehow, and not the headphones? I don't know.
Well, but how would the headphones, like, because it's all obviously it's off the phone right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how does it know? That's my question. Like, how does it? It has to use the Bluetooth connection because that dongle is what, 2.4 gigahertz.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it only does that. Look, B&O
Fair enough.
sometimes hides extra hardware in their shit, and they don't tell you about it until there's a software update.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's interesting. I need to update my level 2 today. Let's see.
I can
Beta.
ask pretty soon because there is oh, I forgot to tell you. Never mind, I'll tell you later.
All right. I can start and title on the BNO app at the theater A5 and then multi-room I have on Mark 1. Yeah. They all will work. They should work. If the moment still continues to join in, dude, I don't see a problem with everything else because I think that Beolink protocol, at least, is very much retro compatible still.
Oh, absolutely. Like the moment, right? The most forgotten product ever. That is the most stable product ever now, for some reason. Uh, you can still connect it to anything of the era, but anything newer, it just doesn't show up. Like you can't set like the theater or any of that sort as its standard output. I have a Beosound 2 Mark 1, which will take it as its standard output. But I can join it to anything else. I think it's just like a few lines of missing code that would fix all of this.
I think so.
Because I would love it for the theater to be able to do what my Beosound 1 does. Where you just set it, like in the menu, you can set like multi-room speakers, i.e. Theater, Beosound 2 or whatever, as your standard output, right? And then your volume wheel works.
Mm-hmm.
But the theater is just like, it doesn't see it on the network, but the other way around it does. And the app still does. So it's kind of like, I don't understand, but...
Neither do I. But it still works, which is good.
Yeah.
I wonder, probably with the gateway, you can write a macro so it would trigger with whatever
Probably.
together.
But I am anti-smart
Stable
house.
because devs don't touch it. That's true. How hard is to connect the new core to the 18? It's not hard at all, man.
It's cable.
Just cable.
So you go power link from the BeoConnect core to your first 18, then loop it through to the other 18, then loop it through to your 19. That's it.
Exactly. That's it. You can daisy chain them all.
And if you hate cables, you can get a transmitter.
And then the crossovers will work properly.
Yeah.
Because it
I mean, you can still
crosses over
set
at
the
120.
crossovers manually on the 18. Or, sorry, on the 19. I mean, what does a transmitter go for nowadays? Like 150
Yeah,
bucks or something?
A transmitter?
Yeah.
I think it's like $700-800.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking Euro prices, because in Europe they were always...
No, they were never that cheap.
No, not new, obviously. I don't
Oh,
think...
yeah. I don't know what the used. I personally would never go for a used Beolab transmitter one, because usually when people get rid of it, there is a reason more than one. And getting pregnant with another problem is not really a solution.
I mean, I see a new one, second-hand site, but it says it's new in box, €250 in the Netherlands.
Yeah. But are you moving the Lab 19 from your living room, Stefan, or are you getting another one for the bedroom?
He needs 20s for his living room. That will make Kareem happy too.
Oh yeah. We're done with the 20s though. The 20s.
Yeah, but there's still a set.
No, but I think we have one left.
Uh-huh. And it has Stefan's name on it.
We have one left. I'm so surprised that over the years B&O never fixed the pricing of the grills for the Beolab 20s in white color. They're almost for free. But I like them in white. Problem with the white color is that over time the mid-bass or mid-range driver and the bass woofer sucks in enough particulate and dust that it exposes the grill structure. Unless you vacuum them, right? That's the only downside of the white cloth speakers from yesteryears.
Eric in Australia, he washes them and he puts up like pictures and videos on Instagram of him washing the grills.
Oh, dude, and some of that water comes out of it. Tabarnak, man. It's not like, wow.
Yeah, but they look good after that.
Of course. Yeah, you can definitely wash them. And fuck, he's in Australia, man. He puts it outside, it's dry in 2 minutes. But definitely you can do that. But yeah, Stefan, you should the core, I wouldn't sweat it at all, man. The BeoConnect core works very well. But I guess the only problem that I have with that thing is the fact that it only has one power link output, which kind of sucks for the older generation speakers. But since that new Beolink multi-room or Beolink surround was introduced, it kind of makes sense now why they never put a WISA transmitter inside that bloody thing, because it really doesn't need it for the newer age and generational products, right? Like, yes, you're stuck with the 18s and the 17s and 20s and the 19, but anything that is Mozart based now apparently will be able to connect to it in one way or the other as a surround or as a stereo speaker or whatever.
I will say this will most likely be sold once it's like fully ready to go into the wild, right?
But it's
most likely
announced.
They will tell you get a Ubiquity system.
I think so. I think that the network, we've talked about this a while back also about the importance of the network. And I tell people that it's, now network infrastructure in your house is more important than having running water. Because if you don't have the network, you can't really call out to get the running water fixed, first of all. And everything in your house is more or less useless, which is sad. But more and more we move towards this, internet of everything. I personally don't understand why the fuck does my stove need a Wi-Fi connection? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
My laundry machine wants it desperately too, but I've refused to give it.
Freaking firmware updates for your laundry machine?
No,
like, come
so
on.
you can customize your washing patterns, like how much the tub shakes and like what type of clothes you put in and how dirty
the fuck is time for that?
I don't know. I guess.
Why would that not be developed by the company that sells you this nonsense to begin with, right? Like, send me a machine that does the job, bro. Well, come on.
Actually, Mr. Trifor says firmware update for your toothbrush incoming. There's actually an Oral-B toothbrush that stopped functioning if the Wi-Fi goes down.
That's messed up. I use Braun toothbrushes, or toothbrush, the electric one, with the little Bluetooth connection to its little display, right? But I honestly I don't understand how much shit. Why do we need that to be connected? And
we don't, but it's a supplement to the product price. Like the data gathering is part of the thing they make the money on.
It's immense. Let me grab some more soda and coffee.
Like if you look at like the Google Homes or whatever, right? Like all those Google devices for your voice assistant. Well, there is no way they can sell that at the price they're selling it without the data collection.
No, there's no way.
Like they're selling it at cost, if not under, because they know the data is that valuable.
Well, the data will pay for that goofy box in no time for each household.
Exactly, but that's why they do it. I mean, our TVs are as cheap as they are because of all the data collection.
Yeah, my TV does not like me because I'm not subscribed to any of that shit. Like, I don't let it. I have the main user agreement ticked off that you have to before the TV starts working, but I don't condone to any of this LG data gathering bullshit, spying on me and disable the microphone because I don't want the TV when you say hey LG to come on and shit. Like, it doesn't do that, right? And it doesn't like it. Yeah. And every now and then it gives me a middle finger. In the middle of the movie, I get a fucking license agreement come up. And
like, we want to see what you're doing.
Yeah, and it doesn't let you click off it. You have to click on it and then say later, right? So you have to get out of the movie or whatever you're doing. It doesn't happen often, but I'm willing to put up with it to not have that data captured.
I would happily pay like $500 more for a TV that doesn't have all this nonsense.
Yeah, but the smart things of everything is just, it's what it is, right?
Yeah. Triumphos, will the Beolab 28 be an upgrade on my Deviolay Phantom 1 Gold? I only use Tidal. In sound quality, yes. In absolute loudness, probably no.
So is loud.
It's very hard to say because it's so personal to what you prefer, right? And you may think something sounds amazing, but it's also maybe because you value power and output more than, let's say, the accuracy of the signal processing. I mean, a simple example is that if you do comparative tracks for speaker testing, right? The speaker that is 3 dB higher will sound better to most people, even though there's nothing different. Like if you put it behind the curtains, even if it's two exactly the same speaker of the same speakers, the one that's louder will sound better to most people. So I think Dave Viollet is kind of funky, and I sort of like what they do, but it's so personal. And if you like, Dave Viollet is kind of known for their incredible thump, right? Like,
yes,
28s will thump, but in a very different way. So you kind of have to like that, because like they go sideways, whereas the 28s goes down. Like you'll get much better stereo separation probably at a more adequate height, but if you can go to a B&O shop, any decent B&O dealer will happily like have you sit there and listen to whatever song you want to listen to. Because it's like they're not cheap after all.
But I still do think that the Lab 28 sound the best on concrete floor.
That's another thing to consider.
Because the soft floor, they don't sound nowhere near as good in our shop, because the store is 100-year-old building and you can literally see the sag from the floor. So the flex is immense, where I've set them up on walls, and I've set them up on the floor, and on the floor they sound better than the on wall, because on the wall, again, and it was in a high rise, unfortunately it's all metal studs, so the wall flexes as well. It doesn't breathe as much with the speakers, but it still moves a little bit differently. When you have it sitting down on the floor, on the concrete floor, man, the resonance of the bass is much more stiffer, much more solid. They just sound better.
Yeah. Look, if Dave Viollet had essentially B&O connectiveness built in, and or like PowerLink or something, I'd be open to looking at a design like this, because I think they're kind of funky.
Not for me, dude.
No, I know, but like
alien egg of some sorts. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, but if B&O put more aluminium on it, like if it was a bit more B&O-ified, right? I mean, or you can like make this as a ceiling speaker, like with incredible power. Because when was this? In 2018, something like that. With Steve, I went to like like a hi-fi show in Amsterdam, and they had one all pulled apart and how it's made. And yes, it's very plasticky, but it is kind of interesting
how they developed it. Well, those are woofers where your mouse was on it, right?
Yeah. So the sides. The ubiquity access points.
It totally looks like an access point. Sorry, everybody, that will never be able to unsee that. Should pull up a ubiquity access point picture. It totally looks like it.
Gerald says, when visitors ask to hear AB on my speakers, they all pick the Phantom over anything else. And he has 28s, I think. Yeah, look,
to each their own, right?
Yeah, but it also depends on what are you listening for. Like, do you use them as a party, or do you use them as in, like, I sit in this place, like, fuck everybody else, and I'm listening to music, and I want the best stereo separation, that sort of thing. The 28s can do much more of a mix of all of it. But
yes,
it's also what are you used to listening to, right? Like if you come from, I don't know, like cheap Chinese headphones with Spotify, and you hear anything of this sort of
resolution,
yeah, like everything's gonna shine, and then it's preference. And if you're not used to listening to high-res music as such, loud is better.
Hmm.
That, at least to most people. I mean, later on you learn that loud isn't everything, but it's like you're gonna have to sit down and learn that essentially. Also, because you need to know what you're listening to.
Yeah, and I find that when it's too loud, you kind of it's hard to listen for things. You just listen into things.
Yeah.
Like it's not that necessarily the instruments get washed out, but your perception of it too. Like you blast your ears off and your cones shut down and you basically made yourself deaf for a while till you reset your hearing, I guess, overnight. But that's the worst thing you can do even in a showroom when you like back in the day with the lab fives, right? Like when you take a visitor and you blast them with the fives, Saving Private Ryan, freaking volume 75, and then you take them outside and try to have them listen to the lap threes, right? They're like, what the fuck? So you have to go the other way because they're already
Yeah.
blasted. That's it.
Yeah, you don't start with like vodka and end with beer. Like that's puking guaranteed.
Oh yeah.
Like you start with beer and you end with vodka, if that's your thing.
Yeah. You don't usually go the other way
Yeah.
unless you run out.
Or if you have like a proper iron stomach.
And that's it. But yeah, that's my take on it. But yeah, I don't know if I'll ever own the 28s to be completely honest with y'all. They just I'd probably go with the pair of eights more than anything for the rear.
Yeah, so this is a bit of an exploded view of a Beolab. Which it is kind of interesting how they came to it. Like, so the inner ring is the tweeter with the sort of a mandala dreamcatcher thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
The ring around that is the mid range.
Okay, that's what I was wondering where the mid range was hiding. So
And
that's
then,
the mid range.
And then you have two enormous woofers compared to the rest. I mean, there's so much pressure in this thing going on. Like,
oh fuck!
But again,
it's the same as the 19. Like if you consider how much that thing is trying to pull itself apart, it's insane.
Again, if you want like quality audio, right? This does a heck of a lot of bass, but to my ears, it's not that clean of a bass. Though it's fun bass.
Mm-hmm.
What are you after? Like if you, I don't know, want to dance around with the missus or rave in your living room, right? This may be a better choice than 28s.
Coffee connoisseur, I highly suggest anyone thinking about Phantoms to try BeoSound A9 Gen 5. And if you can buy a pair, it will wipe the floor with Phantoms. I completely agree. And I would also say that the pair of A9s would really give a good run for their money to the 28s, but not in acoustic imaging and definition. Just sheer volume party power. The A9s would kill it. But when it comes to actually listening, critical listening, the 28s will definitely be much better.
Yeah. So
I wonder if B&O will abandon the subwoofers as we know them because of their new Mozart platform with how the true image based management, or will they come out with something that would be a Mozart driven subwoofer?
I don't know,
because I don't think it's a good idea. Like there's still a market. There's still the subwoofer is not something that people don't buy. We install subs all the time, like the Canton, whatever. Like people buy subs. I don't know why B&O wouldn't or why would they abandon it. Or maybe make another receiver if that new BeoLink surround thing comes out.
Yeah.
Make a receiver for that you can plug in legacy speakers. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, one of the reasons I don't know is that every so often I watch Andrew Robinson, as we probably all do, right?
Yeah.
Just to see what else is going on. And quite often, what is described as speakers going very low is something in the 40 plus hertz range. Which to me is like, wait, that's low? That's almost mid-range to me, right? And then you look at anything B&O, like especially Mozart, like it's all down to like 26, 7, 8 hertz. Which is... It kind of defeats the point of a 19, because a 19 only really starts at like 20 hertz. So it's sort of like, do you need a subwoofer for those last 8 hertz?
Mm.
And if you are the design company and interior design must look as sleek as possible, like, do you want another box for that 8 hertz? And then they would probably say, aren't you a very high net worth individual? Shouldn't you just buy 50s or 90s because they'll do that? Right? It's sort of like that idea. It's I don't know. It's so therefore I don't like. I think they should keep on making a subwoofer.
That's what I think too.
I actually think they need something slightly more substantial than a 19.
I agree.
Like, do a similar thing with opposite firing, but use the drivers from the 50s, right? Like, use 2 10-inches.
Or use your vented port technology that you've developed and patented.
Yeah, or make it really small with a 10-inch driver with that vent port thing.
Because that would be cool.
Yeah. Like, you can almost put that in between 2 studs, right? Where it, like, you have a speaker, but like nobody will see it's a speaker until your wall like opens a flap.
That would be cool. Something along the line of I would also try to revisit an idea of Beolab 16, the in-wall sub. Remember the circle one?
Yeah.
Those were cool, even though like they were not as powerful because the drivers, I think they were Beolab 18 bass drivers, but it was 4 of them. They fired against one another. But I still thought it was a great subwoofer for a little system because it basically made a sound of the 18s in the room. That was a good piece of kit.
This is probably something they would outsource to like what are they called again? The people that make the in-wall stuff now.
Origin Acoustics.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was the first active in-wall speaker set that was ever developed, right? Because there's a Cat 7 cable that ran with it and measured the impedance and how to correct for the run of the wire. And also motorized the bloody speaker to come out. So that was a good system. I've done a few of them in houses, and they look fabulous, especially when they just come down.
Any of that movement is just sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's half the appeal of the 50s, right? Is that every time you turn them on, it's like we get taller now. We're gonna do stuff.
That's right.
Beolab 2s are fantastic for movies. That's what they're good at, essentially.
Yeah, they're very good at that. But for the accuracy base, it's the same. Like, I don't understand why would they. I guess it's not as substantial in the Beolab 3s if you use them as monitors, but there's also bass lag, not lag, but the flop, right? Like, it's not an accurate bass because of the passive radiators.
Yeah.
But
it's also a speaker of its time.
Right.
Because it doesn't necessarily flop until you get to really high levels, but it is a really fucking clever way of making the interior cabinet larger.
Yes.
Because you literally have a dynamic cabinet that way.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lab 2, man, I rarely see them go. Now they're starting to, and I think personally it's more or less issue with the Quebec's electricity nonsense here. Because the constant dips in power and outages and shit going on, man, it's not good for the electronics in any kind, anyway. Like, I've never seen a Beolab 2 go down in Calgary, ever. But here I've seen a couple of them with the power supplies just went to shit. but I wouldn't chalk it up to anything else but just the bad electricity in here. Because every time there's a storm or something, even doesn't matter if you live in Westmount or how rich you are, fucking power's cut. So there is that. And I also find a lot of people that live remotely with the generators. I don't know why, but I've seen a couple now. They have generators scheduled to, let's say, run once a week for 20 minutes or run every 2 weeks for 20 minutes. But with the power that does, if they don't have the proper bypass installed, it is insane. Like, why would you not spend that extra money to not have it's not just BNO. I'm talking your
Light
fridge,
bulbs.
your everything, your bulbs, man, and it's all it's all LEDs now. It's not just a fucking incandescent with a little wire that heats up. Now it's a circuit board is inside the thing.
Yeah, which also heats up because there's like little wires in there.
That's right. So yeah, I don't understand. I get the emergency generator, but shouldn't that just turn on in the emergency calls, not every week?
Turn on just to have it like run the engine, right? Like the inverter doesn't need to start spinning.
That's right. And they're all propane powered anyway.
I mean,
so
essentially what they're doing is what your parents always hated when you were a kid, when the light switch, when you did that on it, or like, and that's what they're doing, but like with what, 200 amps, 150 amps?
Oh yeah, the whole house, man. And it's that's not, and usually it's not small homes that we go to, obviously. So and then their generators are substantial. So yeah, that's one thing that I always I'm starting to become very conscious in these next to the woods where the power is not as 100% reliable as it is in the western part of Canada per se. But then again, the Montreal city is what, 485 give or take years old.
Mm-hmm.
Calgary's 127 maybe. So like this was still built around a horse and a buggy, where and it shows in the narrow streets. The same thing with Europe, man. And that's like,
have you ever done an install where you found knob and tube in the wall?
No, but I had installs that I've seen that those fucking cables abandoned like from early 1920s.
Yeah, that's knob and tube.
Yeah, and they were still hot. They were still hot, man. Like it was just, we were doing, I think it was with Etienne, we were doing a TV on a wall, on a fucking fireplace, right? And it's all brick, bro. And yeah, that was like the lamps, I guess, that used to be, right? But that's all come off, and like they just abandoned the shit in there, man. And yeah, the cables, like it's like wound with paper for insulation or whatever the hat. Like,
and then it's in an aluminium or metal tube, and that has porcelain standoff, so it doesn't arc to the stuff on the wall.
Yeah, man. And I just for shits and giggles, I put the meter, boop, boop, boop. Oh my god, dude, don't touch that. That's fucking live. I don't even know what breaker that goes to, or if it does even have a breaker. But yeah, there is some mystery things go on in these old homes that you don't really get to see that in Calgary, because I think the oldest house is probably about 100 years, and that's already gone and infilled with a mansion, because they buy 2-3 lots and build a proper home.
Yeah.
So it's
if you have this in your house, yeah, that's dangerous. Please get rid of it.
Well, I've seen that, and I can't believe that some of that stuff is actually still within the code, I guess. Or not really, but they just keeping it.
Well, everything gets grandfathered in, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
Like I don't know about you, but I don't have the money to, like, when my house was built to code, to keep changing it every 2 years so that it meets code again.
Oh no, fuck no. That stays till the renovation is major done, and that's 20 years from now, right?
Yeah.
Usually. You just rip out everything to the studs and do everything and go all over again. But yeah, I've seen some crazy shit over the years installing stuff. But yeah, there's always a different challenge. Never a same day, man. It's never a same day, and not just with BNO, but with anything, because it's different people and yeah, different jobs, different places.
Harry said, are Beolab 12 better on floor stand or wall mounted? Had them in a box for 2 years and need to pull them out with a BV11. Wall mounted.
On the wall, bro. On the wall. Don't even piss around. They look silly to me on those floor stands that they used to have. because they're somewhat like, let's borrow the Beolab 18 floor stand, but we're gonna make them straight instead of tapered on the side edges. And oh fuck, the Mia Ando ones are so nice, man. I love that edition of them.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, this is Beolab 12s, man. They're sex on the wall. That's it.
I also love them in white.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of darker aluminium color is also quite
The gray,
nice.
yeah, there is a gray ones. I honestly
Topaz
wonder
or
if the
something?
shells.
Yeah, topaz.
I think it's topaz. I wonder if the shells are still available, because I would, once I start twisting Kareem's hand for them, I'll probably get the shell too.
I mean,
But
they work freestanding or on the floor stands, but they're
Not
kind of
ideal.
not designed for that. They need the wall reflection, and the more solid your wall is, the better they will do.
yeah, no, that's, I think, the sexiest replacement for the Beolab 3000 and 5000 from the yesteryears of the square almost speakers. These were fantastic, and these were also the grandfather of the woofer for the BeoVision Avant, because the Coscone woofer was only introduced for the first time in B&O's history with these speakers,
Yeah.
with the reverse voice coil. So yeah, that's man, those are so nice. Those, the Mia Ando ones. I think she had ones with the red. Oh yes. But yeah, these look good, and also they sound great, and they look very nice. But let's say Beolab 11 too.
Frankas, thinking of buying H100s. In your opinion, are the H100 much better as far as sound, both volume, loudness, and quality, than the H95s to justify that $500 more pricing?
Also, you got to justify the features, how much and what it supports versus what the H95s do. That would be my starting point.
I like personally, like I said in my review, I think it's close to no, but that means it's still yes.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is that it's not like a small gap, right? It's not like it's you get
$250 or $100. Yeah. It's significant.
I do think they are worth it, especially with the H95s. Like, you're gonna get this headphone or a headband raffle over time, stuff like that. The H95s do have that bend in the hinge, which is nice for travel, but it's also a potential breaking point. Like, this is much more substantial.
Yes.
I think they are worth it. The ANC is a lot better. Another thing to explain, which I probably didn't explain quite that great, is that in any modern headphone, the ANC is adaptive ANC in B&O headphones, whereas other brands still use the old-fashioned ANC, like blast everything away. Whereas these, and the H95s for that matter, will adapt how much and what they fire at you to counterbalance whatever's going on around you. I think they made improvements, partially because they have like 2 or 3 more microphones to make that improvement. The microphone itself on this is quite a lot better. I remember being at the time when the H95s launched, like, I was actually kind of shocked that the microphone was kind of shit on the H95s, because I think did I do it in my video at the time? The Portals sounded one of the best, and then it was like my E8s, and then I think my H4 Gen 2s came. Then I think it was the H9s that were on par with the H95s, which was like you don't buy them for a microphone, right? But like in the H100s, like when you and I had a phone call, like I couldn't tell if you were on the phone or on the headphones.
Mm-hmm. No, they sound substantially better.
And I can absolutely tell when you have your portals connected to your phones that you are on your portals.
Yes.
So there's those sorts of little things. That all adds up. I think they're worth it. Also, they do go louder because they're not, from what I've been told by one of the sound engineers on it, they're no longer volume limited due to timbre. How do you say that word? I'm always slightly confused about it.
The timber.
Yeah, that. The timber. Like they fix a lot of things with that timber. And that's why they can go louder with them now. Is it loud enough for you? Again, personal. I think they are too loud at 75% volume. Like I'm at my pain threshold. Other people, apparently on Reddit, I saw a few people, they go, oh, I can still listen to them at 100%. It's like, oof.
You either already have damaged your ears before you bought them, or there's something wrong with you, or you're listening to music from 50s or 60s, like Louis Armstrong or some shit with no bass in it.
I mean, I haven't obviously measured. I have no microphone to measure like when they're on my like ears, right? To measure how loud things were. Mm-hmm. But if I were to go to max volume, I would definitely like put earplugs in and measure it that way. But I would say they go at least 10 dB louder than H95s.
Which is a lot.
Is that loud enough for you? Is there other things that go louder? I don't know, probably. Mm. The one thing, though, that I've noticed at similar sort of volume levels is that at the absolute max, H95s start to like have a bit of distortion and or artifacting here and there. The H100s don't. Like they're like 50s or 90s, right? Where they're just happy to sit at max volume all day.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with the H95s. Well, again, I'm not a headphones guy.
To me, again, with the H95s at those sort of levels, it hurts. So it's not pleasant to listen to, but...
Yeah. It's the Beolab.
Harry, how dare you? You can never bore me with Beolab 12s.
That's it.
How dare you? Bore me with Beolab 12s? Never.
My vote would be lenses down. That's my vote.
It depends on what how you're setting them up.
Yeah. But they should be ear level. But usually I would go... For two reasons, I would go lenses down. One, they, to me, look better. And second, you never get the dust inside the tweeter because it's upside down. So it's easier to clean just the part of the round part of the lens than trying to dabble with the tweeter. Even though all the tweeters from that era have a cork backing, so you can't push the bubble in, they still... you're risking a chance of damage in one way or the other. But I would always put them lens down. Obviously, that doesn't apply for Mia Ando's collection unless you turn her collection upside down too, which I guess would make no difference really. It still look good. But for BB11, if you're gonna put them on the side and straddle the sides, I would put them lenses down alongside or the same level where the grill of the TV is. And that's it. But yeah, these are sexy speakers. One of the most, I would say, also undersold species that have been in the portfolio for, the little time that they had. But I don't know why. I really like them. I think that they... Well, we don't really have any like dedicated on-wall speakers anymore in the portfolio. Lab 8s, you can put them on the wall, but they stick out quite a bit. Like these were sleek of how little they stuck out.
I must say though, the Beolab 12 3s are like 480 watt rated or something like that. Mm-hmm. In terms of sound output, they're very similar to like 18s, which are like 320 watt rated. Mm-hmm. And partially that is down to the cabinet design because you're having like, what was it, 6 or 6.5 inch drivers, two of them, but like they have like that much to move, right? And they don't have... They have like a liter of cabinet volume or something like that. It's so little.
Yeah.
So so that creates a lot of back pressure. So they have to like crank that shit to get any sort of like high volumes out of it.
Movement.
They will, but like it's more impedance. So I don't really care about that personally, but just in terms of like,
They're great for surround.
yeah,
I'll say
absolutely.
they're great for surround. I don't know, man. I'm still
12
thinking.
threes with a BeoVision 1155. Oh, drool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's gonna look hot.
God, an
It always did.
1155 is so good.
If you lucked out and bought the wood grill from the 14, which that was the only good thing about that TV when it came out,
Yes.
that grill was just insane.
12 threes also are my favorite 12s.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we're a sucker for that aluminium, right? It's like the Lab ones, just sheer
They're
metal,
so
basically.
slim.
Hmm.
Like, in terms of a B&O love story, right? Like, what I love about certain B&O designs is that it so much doesn't look like what it is.
Hmm.
Like 18s don't look like speakers. 12 don't look like any sort of speakers.
I've had people in my house that put their hand up in front of the 18, thought that there was a fan, like a fancy, air fan, whatever. No,
I
no, that's a speaker.
mean, you can put a 12 just about anywhere, and somebody goes like, "That's a weird mirror."
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Hi,
right. BeoTalk Shape is the only on-wall dedicated speaker
Harry
system
got the
they have.
dark wood grill. You bastard.
Nice. No, those are sick. The smoked oak, I guess, would have been at the time.
I mean, even
Which now,
yeah, even 50s don't really look like speakers. 90s don't really look like speakers at all.
no, I had people thought that they were big lamps when they first came to my place. So I was like, "Are these not? Where did you get these lamps?" I'm like, "Well, these will light you up hard, bro. Watch."
But that's partially what I love. Like 28s are a bit more speaker esque looking, I guess, in a weird way, though not that obvious either.
Hmm.
Like 17s are kind of speaker ish looking. Threes are sort of. Fives are just weird altogether. People will walk into your room and think you're into like alien conspiracy theories or something.
Yeah, they look weird.
I mean, the 8000s are a bit more classical speaker looking,
The pencils.
but that can be both a good and a bad thing, right? Like you may want that speaker look, but it depends on all the stuff around it. But I personally love when stuff is just a bit weird and you can't tell.
Yeah, with B&O, that's. And I also like what I like about the B&O is when you talk to people and they describe something. I had the old B&O system. Like, what did you have? I'm like, oh, I don't remember the model, whatever. Right? Describe it. Oh, it was the one that the wings would open. Oh,
Yeah.
Center 2, right?
Yeah.
As we all know.
It's all unique and nothing is square.
No.
Like the time they stopped doing things that were square in like the mid 70s. Like it's already like square boxes now. We're done with that. We did that for like 50 years already.
Yeah, there's not much. Like, you can't really call Sound 1 in a 2000 square. It was more or less like a rectangular shaped. I don't know. It's so weird with the designs that they come up with, but it all is unique. That's for sure.
Like Les
But
says, 18s go unnoticed as rears in the lounge. Exactly. That's partially why they're so lovely. I mean, and they get even better if you get them on wall mounts, right? It's like
yeah, they look elegant.
the people that know will know, but anybody else will just go, "That's beautiful. What is it?"
Hmm.
And that's one of those things where that piques my interest because, like, I can look at these pretty much all day. They're fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, they are. They are very nice set of speakers for sure.
I mean, and they don't really need to be playing either for them to be enjoyed by me.
No, they just look cute.
Yeah.
I like them.
I mean, at some point, I may put them up on wall brackets somewhere. Figure out.
I just hope that they don't discontinue them. I don't think that they would, because they still sell quite a bit. Like we still sell a lot of 18s. I think we sell more 18s than the 28s because if you look at the price difference and gap and performance you get for it, right?
I have a feeling they're going to work themselves into that position with the price rises, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, at some point, I mean, what are they now? Like, the 8s are acoustically a better speaker, but they're almost half the price. So it's almost 11,000 USD now for a set of 18s, starting with. X sales tax. So it's 12,400 for the, what is it, aluminium oak on wall mounts. Like, holy shit. Like, this can't go much more up for what it is.
You'll be surprised, I'm sure.
Yeah, but like at some point, right? Just the
it
lack.
It has to have a ceiling, obviously. It has to have a ceiling because.
But the lack of tech versus like 8s, right? Like you're just gonna get that inverse curve of like people will go more for 8s at some point. Like especially when like, let's say the 18s will get an extra 10%, which is like almost 14 grand at that point. Let's say the 8s get an extra 10%, which is like close to 7 at that point. Like you can then buy 4 sets of 8 or 2 sets of 8, so 4 8s or a set of 18s. Whereas set versus set, the 8s are already superior in terms of sound output.
Yes.
Like at some point that's not going to make sense to anybody anymore, even though the pretty is there. I mean, it's not like the 8s are ugly at all. They're just not as interesting as the 18s.
Yeah. I would stay away from Beolab 3s, Vince asking, because there is no parts available for them really anymore. So, depends what set you get, because the paint will be sticky at some point. So I've seen lab 3s that were so sticky that literally I could do this, excuse me, on my glove, and they wouldn't fall off my hand. So yeah, they're terrible. That paint option or decision making process was terrible at that time for that touch soft. It looked cool and it was fine till it wasn't fine. But also there is no we can't in Canada fix the main chassis anymore there's only one guy that can do it in Western Canada, Brad, but he does it not by ordering stuff from B&O, but he actually repairs them on board level. And he's the only one that can do that at least in the North American side. I'm sure Eric could do it in Australia and
BeoBuddy in the Netherlands.
And BeoBuddy in Netherlands. So there is somebody that can fix these, but then you're obviously going to be out of speakers for a while.
Yeah.
Depends what's wrong with them also, because sometimes they just might not be repairable. But you're also looking at speakers that have been around since 20 years. Excuse me, 21 years, because the Beolab 3s came out in 2003 and shortly followed by Beolab 5s. But
BeoBuddy in the Netherlands makes his own gaskets now, because even the gaskets, when you take the clamor apart, like aren't there anymore. And apparently,
really?
Apparently, the original gaskets also can get frail and leak into the PCB, which shorts stuff out. So he makes new paper gaskets and stuff like that, which is like an awful lot of work, right? Because like it's a specific type of paper that you have to cut out like exactly so that you don't interfere with all the connection panels, and it's like
it's worth saving them because they are very nicely sounding speakers, but
you're properly into the aftermarket at that point.
That's it. Like you're definitely within that. So,
but yeah, so 18s as they stand, 12,400 USD for oak and aluminium, and
Hmm.
then you have 8s on table stands. I guess we can do them like that. 7.5. I personally think the floor stands look a bit goofy, but it works for behind the couch.
It works very well behind the couches
But
because they are tall.
yeah, so it's a good $5,000 difference, which is steep.
And performance-wise, there's not that much of a gap, to be honest.
I think the 8s are probably better, but like they're more Mozarty.
Yeah.
So another thing is like you absolutely need a source with the 18s, whereas you don't with the 8s. So that's another what $1,200 with it, because you need to get a BeoConnect core with it.
Hmm.
So actually, the 12.5 grand is more like 14.
Yeah, because you don't have a source.
Yeah. Like I don't know how long. Like I hope they don't lose the 18s, because I fucking love them. They're one of the best speakers they've ever made. But like they can't keep on jacking up the prices like this.
No, and I don't think that if they're going to do something that they're not going to revisit these with the Mozart platform. I think that essentially, in my eyes, the supplement for the 18s will become the 28s because they're about the same height, you know, same stature type of thing, and that's where it's going to be different. What's the difference between 8,000s or 8,000s are better than 3s? Not necessarily. You don't have the acoustic lens, right? So you have a very focal point for listening to music. But when it comes to longevity, serviceability, I think 8,000s, because there's been over 500,000 of pairs made, there's still parts. And I think the only thing that you can do that I've seen a lot is just change the front grills, man, because they usually get frail and all crinkly and shit from the sun damage. So
I mean, if you want to step up from that for like current day little money, look for some Beolab 17s. Like if you have hearing issues because you're old like Stefan, right? Like don't buy 17s. But if you're a normal person like everybody else, look at some 17s.
yeah. Oh, this one's still on there. Interesting. I'm sitting here looking at my remotes randomly updating firmware in them, which is kind of interesting. Poo, poo, poo. We'll see. Beta, bro. We'll see what I'm gonna have for a ghosts. But I'm excited to see it. After we go off air, I'm gonna definitely start playing.
Being old is not the problem with 17s or any of that thing. It's Stefan's old ears that are a specific problem with speakers for some reason. Wait, am I dropping into it?
A little bit. Something was for a second.
Oh, I'm back again.
There we go.
Sweet. But 17s are great.
I like them. They were so understated as well as far as the speakers were concerned. Not many people we sold them to in Calgary. It was only a few. How to pair? Yeah, you gotta use the core, man. The old system needs a source, so you need a core. And if you're gonna do well with the BeoConnect core, it's perfect because you're gonna go right into the Lab 2, which is the only PowerLink output that the core has, and then you take the PowerLink DIN connectors from the output of the sub into both 8000s, and that way you have them properly crossed over. Make sure you set the position switch should be on number 2. Number 1 is for the Beolab 1s, number 2 is for the 8000s, 4000s, and number 3 is for the 6000s, Beolab 4s, Beolab 3s, and lower. and then you obviously put it to freestanding or a corner or wall, whichever one, wherever that thing sits in relation to. But
Yeah. I would almost say if you have 8s, I wouldn't necessarily add something as old as a Beolab 2 to it. Because, again, like the 8s will go down to like 28 hertz or something, right? Right?
yeah,
And the Beolab 2 is a very powerful but kind of peaky and floppy subwoofer. I mean, peak power, if I remember right, on a 2 comes in at like 35, 40-ish hertz, which is already way in the realm of what the 8s can do by themselves. And like the EQ of, or the sound, the curve, right? Like sort of goes like that on a
yeah,
2. And it's not linear at all. Whereas a 19 just goes like 20 hertz
yeah.
straight across to 200, and like a Beolab 2 is all over the place. A Beolab 2 rumbles much more. It has more power in that sense, but it's also due to
It's a messy sound, but
yeah.
it's a subwoofer that is made to rock the movies, not accurate music, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that's all we had back then, bro. It was good till the 19 came out, and 19 really kind of showed it off into the lab too, as far as the precision. But the power, yeah, like if you're looking for the rumble, you won't get it from the 19, and mostly because it's a acoustic balance principle subwoofer, so you actually just get pure bass instead of physical movement transfers through the large ass rubber donut into the floor. So you won't feel it as much as you would with
I mean, yeah. So if you're interested in buying 8, I would almost say like forget about the 2. It's almost not needed.
no.
Because then you can use the internal sources of the 8s and all that, and it's just much easier. Essentially, what you need is 2 power plugs and you're ready, right? Like, and you're good to go.
Yes.
Unless you have an enormous place that you need to fill the sound with.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lightning Waves asks, should I add a core to Beolab 50s if I have a theater?
No.
The BeoConnect core, if you want to do it like the most is high res with USB, but you can if you want to use them more on themselves and not fuck around with the theater's internal processing with its room correction and blah blah blah. You can't. It's not needed, but
then the argument is, why don't you just make a speaker preset or listening positions with the 50s only direct mode? That's it.
Because
you have
USB-C is all digital, I'm not sure you can notice that much, but
I haven't had a chance to test it yet because I didn't get the cable, and apparently it still was in its infancy back in the day when the core came out. So I'll definitely try it out. Anders says you cannot order speaker clothes for 8,000s. I don't know if, well, that must be very, very recent because we did order an original B&O speaker covers for the 8,000s. Fuck, maybe a month ago we did we installed it for a client, and they came in. They still came in, so I don't know.
you use the link and buy it at Skinny Play. Use 10%
Or
off.
that, and you can just buy the default black if you wanted to, or go crazy with the designs. And yeah.
Mark asks, I got a set of Beolab 18s with a 19. Just ordered a BeoVision Theater to go with it. Would you guys recommend? What would you guys recommend as rears? Beolab 8s? Yeah, sure. They could also
go with the 18s if you want to have the same look.
Yeah, they're easier to find secondhand if that's what you want to do. I mean, the 18s don't really go wrong.
You can't go wrong with 18s, and you can't go wrong with the Lab 8s.
If placement is weird, right? Because your couch is close to a wall, 8s is very good. 17s also work very well.
What I would do, I would probably put the 8s as fronts with the theater, because the design language of the lamellae is the same. I would put the 18s in the back. They're perfect for rear channels because also they're higher.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably even put the subwoofer along the back line of the wall because the theater at the front with the 8s will have more than enough bass, and you just bring that even throughout the room. And it just sounds it's the same thing. Like I have a Beolab 11, which is it's a laughable subwoofer. Let's just face the fact. But being at the back of the couch, it does help the TV a lot, especially with the freaking the resonances and stuff. But I also stuffed it, taped everything and blah blah blah, and I still sometimes get the little buzzy buzz over here and there. So that's one thing that I would consider. I would put the 18 with the 19 in the rear because there's enough. Like I said, there's enough bass. Try it out. You can also put the subwoofer wherever you like. It's omnidirectional. But that would be my suggestion. If I don't know if you're putting on a wall mount as far as the theater is, or you're just putting it on a table stand or a floor stand.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think 18s look out of place in the front with a theater, personally.
No, they don't.
I mean, if you want to spend 8 sort of money, like go for 8s, you could. I mean, if that's sort of like it's hard to say without adding on questions, but if you have a budget for 8s, right, you could also get 2 sets of 17s.
Yeah, it depends on how much you want and if you want to stay with the modern or you want to have pre-owned. So
you can make it 7.1, but you can also make it 5.4 technically, I guess, if you want to use the upfiring in the theater in front.
Yeah,
like if you're like into the Atmos game, that's the way to go. Personally, I for the moment still prefer the ease of 17s over 8s because again, there's nothing to go wrong. There's no there's a WISA software update, but that's the only thing you'll ever have on them, right? Like there's no
yes,
this no source no longer functions because Spotify, Tidal, whatever did something stupid.
Yeah, it's what part would most likely need replacing in the 90s?
The
Quite
boards.
honestly, if not that, then grills. If you have cats, but but other than that, I don't see it. I think the only thing that probably over time could go would be a main board.
Yeah.
Or a connection board, depends on how often you're in it. But I don't see I've had the 90s apart, and the way they're built, man, you can shoot bullets at them all day long, and they'll keep playing. So I to me, they really are one of the most solid speakers that B&O's ever made.
Something goes really wrong if any of the drivers need any touching.
Yeah.
Which is if it doesn't happen in warranty, it's not likely to happen at all.
For me, I find that with the 90s, if anything goes wrong with them, it's within the first few weeks of ownership. Because if there's a faulty part, it'll show right away. I don't think it'll show over time. I don't think over time you can really kill them. They're one heck of a speaker, that's for sure. So yeah, just saying, I wouldn't worry about the 90s at all.
No, it's sort of like the 50s, right? Or like the 5s for that matter. Like if the drivers survive the warranty period, they're gonna survive for the next 20-ish years, if not more.
Yeah.
It's more likely that the board will have an issue than anything else.
Just like with the 5s, over time, the main chassis maybe need to have a replacement. I think just like anything, the capacitors will get tired over time. So, but the drivers, I don't think so. And quite honestly, the only downfall of the Beolab 5, other than the chassis, is the downward firing woofer, which over time does sag a little bit. but they're
Also,
not.
because it's huge.
It's 15 inches, bro. Like it's a massive speaker, man. Massive speaker. Huge fucking magnet voice coil behind it, and yeah, it does the weight and gravity. Does its share just like it does on my face over the years, and it will. You will eventually need to replace them,
At
and
some point,
replacing the
everything will
woofer.
get dangly.
That's right. And replacing the woofer, you should never even consider doing it without ordering the gasket set, because the gaskets that have been compressed for now 20 years, depends on how old the speaker is, they are shot, man. They are absolutely shot. How much for a chassis on Beolab 5s today? I think they're about
I don't think you can say, because the
$3,000.
Canadian price is different than the American price.
It's
Then, like, even in
Yeah,
Europe, it fluctuates.
and also I would be inaccurate because we also have shipping, because we do have to send them to Denmark for repairs. Or we basically just order replacement chassis. You order one and you send them the defunct module, and unless the client requests that they want that same chassis back, and that's more or less people that have the paint that is not sticky on the back of the speaker, because I've had some chassis that came in, bro, and they were absolutely gummied up. So, can microphone in the Beolab 5 fail? Yes, it can
Yes.
if you kick it or move the speaker while the measurement is happening, because it's really close to the ground. I have seen people do it, and that's about a $700 to $800 kick in the balls to get it replaced, if it's still available, which I don't think it shouldn't be. But yeah, that's I've seen it only once be done, and I think it was where it's just a lack of knowledge. Somebody just put their hand on the speaker, I assume, and the speaker started doing the measurements. They panicked and they unplugged it, and the microphone stayed. And then those speakers got moved to the storage locker where we were picking them up from for service.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the microphone was fuck. It was out. So yeah, that's too bad. Feels bad, but you got to do what you got to do to fix it.
Good thing is it
So
is fixable.
it is fixable. Everything is repairable, man. The only things that are not really fixable are the Beoplay products now, right? Because they want you to send it back, and it's kind of. But when you have stuff like that, that is core product from B&O, yes, they are fixable. There's service parts for them, and then it also, based on its age limitation, like lap fives, I see them being supported for probably another 5 years, and then I think they're gonna dwindle away. It's a product that's been around for 30 years at this point, and I would say in 2033 it will be what? Well, no, not even 2033. They discontinued the lap fives in 2016, right? That was
Yes.
the last edition. So I think in 2 more years, B&O can really say, bro, like we've been supporting this product 10 years after its, end of life. Enough's enough, and we're moving on. And then it really falls down onto people that just fix them, in their own house. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that's a problem with B&O, that the perception of time is so skewed by people, because the product looks so current, even though it's old as fuck sometimes, that you don't realize that you've had this you had the speaker for 21 years now, man, honestly. So sometimes it just might not be available.
Yeah.
How good is the Dolby Atmos for movies or spatial audio? Does it connect multiple devices like the TV or iPad or a soundbar? How does one get the best Atmos experience for movies with the H100s?
Starting at the front, the spatial audio is really quite good. It makes it enveloped and all around you. Does it connect to multiple devices? Like, I don't know what you mean, as in multiple headphones to one device, or the other way round. Like I would say the other way round. No, like it connects quickly to your last used device. How to get it Best is probably use an iPad with Apple TV app, right, or something like that, or
Yeah.
Netflix. I'm not entirely sure how I haven't tried it. I just haven't had the time. How Atmosy it is. Like, it's hard to say when, like, how good is something, right? Like, do you want a number? Do you want a scale of 1 to 5 hamburgers, or like, how do I compare this?
Yeah, it's very hard to say.
Like,
And then
how
again,
is it compared to my living room? Compared to my living room is better, but that's
no
kind of
shit.
like unfair, right? It's like my
No, you
living room
can't
is
compare.
also like more than 10x the price. So, like, I would say it's better through iPad, mostly because TVs are kind of white goods these days. They like your iPad will for sure do sound a lot better, also all the codecs, than your TV will, because if you have an LG or a Sony, right, like almost all of it is licensed Dolby Atmos, blah blah blah, but it's
Hmm.
passed through,
Yes.
which is kind of like that's there's a sticker on there, but that sticker isn't fair. Like, your iPad for any Dolby Atmos movie will do it much better with headphones of any kind than your TV generally will. Because essentially your LG TV, Sony TV, whatever, wants a soundbar or something connected to it to have it properly done.
But you could utilize that probably in the best fashion. Have the H100s connect directly Bluetooth into the Apple TV, right? And just choose that as your main speaker, and then have the picture show through the Apple TV and
Yeah,
or the panel.
I my Apple TV, I haven't had one for a while. I still have it, but it's in the closet somewhere.
Hmm.
But I don't know what the limitation is that Apple puts on its Apple TV, whether it allows the same connectivity it does for its own headphones as it does for third party stuff, right?
Mm.
But there's no so the limitation wouldn't be on the H100s, it would be on the Apple side.
Yes.
And I guess I can try and, but the thing is, like, every time I need to like dig this stuff out, it takes a few hours, and I'm still like finishing up on my house and stuff. Like, this door is still like awful, like, and I hate looking at it in like in the back shot of my
Well, on the
webcams.
podcast, I'm covering just enough of it, and the 19 does the rest. So
So yeah. It's I hate that this fan needs to sit here, because I still need to put on an extra outlet in the wall over there, and then it'll be out of sight, stuff like that. Like, I have plenty to do.
yeah.
I mean, but that power has to come from the bedroom, so I have to go like through a wall to make an extra outlet. So it's all a bit like this never end.
No, it does not. But now you got H100s to wear on your head while you
I
do
mean,
it.
I have like black baseboards, but I still need to do the last finishing caulking line on top, and
Hmm.
like uh, touch up all the nail points and stuff like
Nail
that.
holes, yeah.
So, but I am dreading going around my entire house on like hands and knees, going with the little brush, like fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Get
getting like,
yourself a foam
I'll
pad for your knees, bro.
yeah, like I'll get an Apple TV out. Like, this is gonna take an hour or two that I can spend on all of this other stuff.
Yeah, but in reality, like, it's not. I don't have a need for Apple TV. It's no, neither do you. Like, it's just straight for the sake of the experiment. But yeah, we watched a movie yesterday at my girlfriend's place, and yeah, you have the spatial audio now is available on some of the movies, which is kind of weird, and Dolby Atmos. And another thing, I guess, but that's more or less for the Quebecers, I guess, if any are watching the podcast. If you're watching or consuming Netflix that is dubbed into French, it's only in 5.1 surrounds, channels. There's never, they fucking scrub the Atmos out. So
Yeah, they kind of have
yeah,
to.
yeah. So if you want a full experience, either watch the movie in original soundtrack
Or
with
subtitles.
subtitles or not at all, because you won't get the same experience. And it's weird, man. I found this out. I was doing a service call. I drove up. The guy had a on wall C2 panel, because it was C2 or C3, C2 I think it was, and a theater on the wall below it, and the bloody supplied network cable. It's those network cables are cheap as shit, man. I have to say, I'll never trust it again. It vibrated off just enough because he plays drums in the same room, so he listens to the theater, you know, and he plays along with it. So he's like, yeah, in 70 volume, right? I'm like, fuck. So that thing is just moving the heck out of the entire wall, and the connector slowly fudges off. So they're watching a movie and the bass hits, and it also lost connection with the theater. Right? Fuck. So I went and took apart, swapped the cable. I don't know where I was going with this. I forget.
The French dubbed non-Atmos.
So yeah, I fixed the cable, blah blah blah. You know, solid, tested, right? Turn on the Netflix, and because I made 2 presets, one for Dolby Atmos and one for just 5.1, right? Couldn't find fucking movie in Dolby Atmos, right? I'm like, bro, you need to switch. Like, let's switch from French to English Netflix. Switched over. All the movies that we watched were 5.1. Now they had Dolby Atmos. I'm like, there's no way that the fucking Top Gun is 5.1 on your TV. There is no way. Like, I had watched it in Dolby Atmos. We have it on the Blu-ray in Dolby Atmos in our big theater showroom thing, right? There's no way. And yeah, if you have it set to French language or whatever, you never get the Atmos out of any streaming.
The dubbing is weird. It's especially
it's messed up.
French and German. It's like bonjour, mademoiselle.
I know, and then
it's like Tom Cruise.
Some of that is so much longer that it's being said than what they move their lips with, right? I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird experience. I don't like it.
Sometimes they actually change the dialogue just so it fits with the mouth movements.
I don't. And then subtitles just basically steal the movie because you start reading shit, and I'm not a chameleon. I can't have one eyeball on the screen and one on the text. I don't like it.
When I lived in the Netherlands, we got a bunch of German channels, and then you would watch like the Terminator. It's like,
oh God,
ich soll zurückkommen. It's like, I'll be back. It's like, what the fuck, man?
No, you're not. Not in this language. Back to that.
It was especially hilarious when like Arnold Schwarzenegger was redubbed back to German by some other dude, right?
That's funny. Did he have an English accent? Just to make it completely backwards.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh boy. Anyways, I guess that's the note we're gonna end it on.
Yeah.
Don't listen to dubbed movies. They suck.
Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next week.
Have a good week. Bye.